So this is just a quick overview on some conventions and techniques we use when handling gaming checks. Now these 6 colors are the first 6 denominations of the checks that we're going to use here. White being $1, pink being $2.50, red 5, green 25, black 100, and purple 500. Now of these, the white, the red, and the black are always going to be broken down into base stacks of 5. What I mean by that is, that's our basic building block for this denomination. So for white, red, and black, the basic building block is 5. For pink, green, and purple, the basic building block is 4. Now one thing to keep in mind, with high denomination checks being the black and the purple, there is rarely a situation where you're going to use these without the floor supervisor being aware of it. So keep that in mind. Still the same base units, pink, green, purple, all base stacks of 4, white, red, black, base stacks of 5. So let's deal with just the white, red, and the black for right now. I'm going to take the others off the table to make a little bit of room. And actually I'm going to take the black and the white off too, because what I show you is going to apply to all of them. Now, get 4 more checks out here. If we have 10 red checks, we'll go work our way from 1 all the way up to 10. If you have just one individual check, that's how you're going to see it on the table, just one check. If you have 2, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be just a stack of 2. So on 3, it's a stack of 3. 4 is a stack of 4. 5 is a stack of 5. Now things differ a little bit. If we go to 6, we're not going to leave it stacked up in 6, and we're not going to make it 5 and 1. We're actually going to split it in half, and it's going to be 2 stacks of 3. Why is it going to be 2 stacks of 3? It's much easier for the floor supervisor behind you to look over and at a distance see that as 3 and 3 than it is to see this as 5 and 1. Well, most floor supervisors are skilled enough to read stacks of 5 checks at a distance. Why take a chance? We're going to break it down 3 and 3. Even the newest floor supervisor can recognize that from 2 tables away. Now, if we go to 7, we simply add 1. We don't want to go 4 and 3. It might be a little confusing. Easier, they know if they see 3 separate stacks, it's going to be 3, 3, and 1. There's no doubt that it can be 7. If we go to 8, we're going to go to 4 and 4. 2 equal stacks, 9, 4, 4, and 1, and then 10, we're going to go to 5 and 5. Now let's say we go beyond 10. Now those previous examples, they don't matter anymore. Once you get beyond 10 checks, if you have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You just keep building up to the next stack of 5. We go beyond 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now, if we go beyond 20, we get to the second base unit. And this is true for all the colors, from white all the way up to the highest check that you have. Base stacks of 20. Now everything basically starts over. We have 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and so on and so forth. If we have more than one stack of 20, we're just going to keep going. We have one stack of 20, and a stack of 5, or 3 stacks of 20 and a stack of 1. Once we get past 20, 20 becomes our base stack. Okay, and the same is true for the white, the pink, the black, all the other colors. Now remember, those was true for these on how we break them down 1 through 10. Now we're going to look at the other 3. Remember, those were pink, green, and purple. I'm just going to use the green for clarity's sake. 1 green, it's just going to be just like it is, 1 green, 2 green, 3 green, 4 green. Now we hit the first base unit, stack of 4. 5 green is going to be 4 and 1. Now recall that with the other ones, 5 was just a straight up stack of 5. Here it's a little bit different. 6 is not 4 and 2. 6 is going to be the same as the other family. 3 and 3. 7, 3, 3 and 1. 8, 4 and 4. 9, 4, 4 and 1. We're still the same. 10 is a difference. 4, 4 and 2. Remember, the red, white, and black were 5 and 5. Pink, green, and purple will be 4, 4 and 2. Once we get past 10 here, we stay with the groups of 4. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now, just like before, 20 becomes our base stack. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and so on and so forth, just like the original checks.
Go.
Okay, here are some techniques for stacking checks and arranging them that you'll use with all different denominations. The simplest being, I'm going to use white because it probably shows up best against a green background. This is what's called a heel. Anytime you have one base check and the rest of the stack is leaning off it like that, that's called heeling the bet. The best way to do that is start with the bet or the payoff, whatever you have the checks, all squared up. Take it with your hand, go to where you want to heel it, drop one check as your base check, then lean the rest off about a quarter of the check. Okay, you should be able to read the full denomination in there, and that'll give you a proper and a strong heel. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this stack is leaning, so the taller the stack, the more unstable the heel. That's about ready to go over. The rule of thumb I use is I don't want to heel anything that's over 20 checks tall. That's about the limit. Okay, this next technique is kind of what people do when they don't quite get the checks to heel. And that's called an offset. I'm going to grab two red checks here so the offset becomes clear. An offset is when you have one group of checks stacked on top of another but slightly offset. You want to offset it about maybe a third to a half of the width of the check. Notice, unlike the heel, you can't read the denomination in the base check or checks. Just move it just to the side. If you can read the denomination, it's probably too far over. So we're looking probably at about seeing about a third of the check there. This is used a lot in the game of craps for setting up place bets, odds on come bets, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. Any kind of place bet. So that's an offset. This is a heel. Offset, heel. This is called a bridge. Anytime you have two equal stacks, here we have two stacks of 2, but it could just as easily be 2 stacks of 4, and you bridge them with any number of other checks, it's referred to as a bridge. Okay, this is used in craps again, in paying off certain payoffs in blackjack, and I'm sure there's other applications I can't even think of right now because I'm on camera. But this is what's called a bridge. Two equal stacks that are bridged by another stack of checks. And it can be one check high, it can be 2, it can be any number. Now, a lot of times when you get a stack of checks that's about this high, especially with these practice checks, it can be really hard to read how many checks are in that stack. A lot of times what we would do is just start with our 5, remember the base unit for white checks, the stack of 5, and then just offset, and that lets us easily see there's 8 checks there. Let me turn this to the side. You can see there's 8 checks there. But what if it's inconvenient to offset at this particular time? I'm going to get a stack of red because I think this will be easier. Actually, you know what? Green, I think it'll be easier to see. You're going to find in your gaming career that a lot of these techniques really don't have names. So we're kind of forced to give them a name to teach them to you. Now this one was taught to me as, they called it thumbnail. I don't know if that's what it was called originally or not, but thumbnail works well. What a thumbnail is remember the heel? And you had this stack leaning over like that? Well, thumbnail is kind of similar. What you're going to do, instead of keeping the stack squared up and straight up and down, you're going to go ahead and lean it forward just a touch so that you can see the individual outline of each check. Now you can't see it on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this around, and maybe it's easier to see there. The stack is just leaning just slightly away, so when you're looking down at it as a dealer, you can see the individual checks. I don't know if you can see the individual separation between the checks there. The reason the instructor who taught me called it a thumbnail, because he said it's really no more than a thumbnail's width that you move each check. Now, like the heel, this works well for a small stack, but if you try to thumbnail a big stack, it's going to become just as unstable as if it were heeled. So keep that to the smaller stacks right there.